Hey everybody, what's up? What's up? It's Wednesday. Welcome to the African Ancestry Experience, where we discuss how we as Black folks view ourselves and the way we view Africa. We love the month of February, and you can probably imagine why, right? Because it's Black History Month, but it's not really because it's Black History Month. It's that the rest of the country gets on board with us during the month of February. And so everywhere you look, it's all Black everything, especially in starting in 2021 last year, and it's just ramped up uh, this year as well. So I'm excited about that. Now, we all know that Black History Month was the result of Carter G. Woodson's efforts to ensure that all Americans are educated about our untold history, the untold history and overlooked achievements of Black Americans. So you don't want to miss this because I want to know you.
I wanna know ya, Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya, Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia. I wanna know ya, Cameroon, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, gotta let me show ya, Nigeria, Bioko Island, Liberia. I wanna know ya.
This is the new season of the African Ancestry Experience, where we activate identity-focused conversations with the African diaspora, the whole diaspora, including Africa. So you trace your DNA, you find your roots, and you explore more about who you are. Daniel Lewis is in the house. You are the first one, Daniel. Welcome tonight. Raul, I see my girl Plachette, Jesse, Darnell Clayton. How you doing, brother? Mr. Goldstein, that's a new name. Welcome. Thank you for being here. All our people, I'm so glad to see you. Yes, Abdul, Black history is world history. Thank you for the salute. We salute you back. I am hyped tonight. We got Africa Link Initiative in the house. Chazelle in the building. Jane Brown is representing for Atlanta. Okay, y'all know Wendy's going to get mad at me. So listen, people always ask me about how to get started. And my answer is always get a test kit. But we do have some other tools. We do have some free tools that you can use to start, to induct yourself into the African Ancestry Experience. Our latest blog post, Black History is African History, that shares perhaps a new perspective for many people on why knowing your roots is important. You can also take our Find Your Tribe quiz and see which ethnic group you have the most in common with. You can watch past episodes of the African Ancestry Experience on YouTube. And while we're talking about YouTube, I need y'all to like, to share, to subscribe, and most importantly, turn on the notification so that you won't miss a single episode. I get texts from people, DMs from people, Gina, I missed it. I got to watch the replay. And that's cool. But if you have that notification, you might not miss it. And you know what? If you're watching this on replay, put your fist up. Put some fists up in the chat so I'll know that you were here. So it looks like Wendy is going to tell me who won the our gift. So every week we give away some African Ancestry swag to the first person to join us starting at 7 p.m. And so this week's winner gets the Remember Who You Are journal. We have one left. One left. Raul, you got the very last Remember Who You Are journal. So congratulations and thank you for joining us and being excited. All of you, thank you so much for being here. So you know what happens when it's February. We always have specials and we've extended our legacy sale. So you have until Sunday to use the code LEGACY and save $30 on any test kit. So for those of you who've been waiting, here's your chance. Go on over to AfricanAncestry.com and get your discount. Yes, Raul, please email us at info@AfricanAncestry.com with your mailing address so we can make sure you get that last journal that's here. So listen, we're celebrating Black History Month this month. You all know that Carter G. Woodson originally called it Negro History Week. in 1926. He hoped that as a nation, we would learn about the numerous contributions of Black people and that Black people would be treated with the dignity and respect that our humanity demands and deserves. One of the goals of Negro History Week was to not only change the hearts and minds of white people, but Mr. Woodson hoped that Black people's knowledge about our history would inspire and empower us toward future achievements. And I think he succeeded with that. I know that I certainly am grateful for all of the Black history that's availed to me. And I hope you all are taking advantage of this all the time, not just in the month of February. And listen, we're taking advantage.
Hey, y'all. I'm not sure what happened to Dr. Gina, but we here. We still in the house. Welcome. Keep coming in. Put your fists in the air. It's Black History Month. And as Dr. Gina said, we have...
I'm sorry, Wendy. I don't know what happened. Wendy with the save. So we actually have the good fortune of having some major scholar activists with us tonight. We have two guests on the African Ancestry Experience. The first up is Dr. Krista Johnson, who is the director of the Center for African Studies at Howard University here in Washington, D.C. Shout out to Howard University. The Center for African Studies is a hub that supports and enhances Africa-related teaching and research. She's also a 2021 Carnegie African Diaspora Fellow, which we'll talk about a little later. I want to see some fists, some emojis. We bragged about you guys to get her on here. We told her that you all welcome our guests with lots of love and lots of excitement. So I want to see you guys give it up for Dr. Krista Johnson. Woo, 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 woo. How are you doing tonight?
I'm great. I'm great, Gina. How are you?
I'm excellent. And I'm just so grateful that you have decided to join us and give us some of your time tonight. That's right. I want to there you go. There's a delay on the emojis. Our people represent. We are absolutely happy to have you here with us. Happy Black History Month to you.
Indeed. There's a lot going on campus. Our campus is buzzing at the moment.
I saw that. I was on campus today and I didn't realize that there would be so many students. For some reason, I thought the students were still all virtual, but they were out and about.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep. No, we're back in person.
Okay. Very good. So here at African Ancestry, Dr. Krista, we always like to begin with identity questions. So the first thing I'd like to know from you is, where did you grow up?
Oh, wow. So it's funny. I was actually born in Lusaka, Zambia.
What?
But my parents were not Zambian. My father's African American and my mother's British. Okay. And so I was born there and didn't spend much time there. Left when I was about 2 or so, and grew up mostly in New Jersey.
Okay.
Not as interesting, but
But you know what? That's great. That's a great coffee. What do you call it? Cocktail party fact.
It is.
Yeah. How many people can say that here in the United States?
Yep.
Love it. So, okay, this is interesting. So you were born in Africa. You have an African-American father. You have a British mother. How do you describe your identity? If I were to say, who are you? What is your answer?
Yeah, I'm African American. I'm not going to tell my age, Gina, but when you get to be my age, those of us who grew up in my generation, these days, it's fascinating just walking around Howard's campus because there's such a diversity of students and I think a diversity of identities really as well on Howard's campus, even though everybody has a bit of melanin in them. Right. But when I grew up, we were African American. And that was it. So I have always identified as African American, and raised my kids that way too.
Okay.
I mean, it's obviously a social identity, but it's also a political identity. And certainly in this country, given what's going on now, I identify that way and feel that it's very important to do so.
Well, it's interesting because I didn't do it tonight because I was so excited. But normally when someone asks me how I'm doing, I say I'm Black and proud and grateful. So I agree with you. It's social and political. And thanks to James Brown for giving me that.
That is good. There we go.
Let's talk about Africa's. You are obviously an African studies scholar. Have you always felt a connection to Africa? Besides, of course, your Zambian roots.
Yeah.
Birth roots.
Yeah. Well, so my father, I inherited this from my father. So he also is actually an African, well, he's an anthropologist, but he studied Africa. And so even when we were growing up, I didn't go back to Zambia, but we spent 2 years when I was in high school in Zimbabwe, living in Harare. I don't know if there are any Zimbabweans out there, but oh my gosh, that was transformative for me. So that was, I was about 13 or 15, and that was a transformative experience for me. I mean, your audience knows, I'm sure a number of them have probably already visited the continent, and they must know just what a transformative experience that can be. So I had mine when I was about 13. And I think since then, I have always had a real connection to the continent and a real kind of love and desire to live over there and work over there and study over there. So after that, in fact, I then, when I was in college, I did my junior year abroad in South Africa for a year. And then and anybody who's been to South Africa knows that place really hooks you. And so then I've been back to South Africa many times since then, and have traveled in a number of other countries as well. Spent time in Ghana and in West Africa, in Kenya, visited Botswana, spent a year on a Fulbright in Botswana. And
okay, listen, wait a minute, hold on. I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm having some serious travel envy right now.
Mm-hmm.
I have some travel envy. Let me see an airplane emoji in the chat.
There we go.
Really?
I know.
Wow.
Keep it moving. Yep.
I love that. Yeah. All I can say is travel envy. Okay, so that brings us to the Center for African Studies. How has that center, well, if you could just give us a little bit about it, but then how is it impacting the students?
Oh, wow. So the Center for African Studies, it's a Title VI National Resource Center. It's funded by the Department of Education. And we're engaged in a number of activities. So some of our activities involve outreach to a variety of community groups and public, the public in general. So we do a lot of public programming. Our website, I'll put it in the comments actually, but people should visit our website because we have a lot of really great resources there.
We have it up here. It's up here. So they
can good. Oh, good. Okay, good. So some of what we do is outreach in K through 12 schools. So as you started off saying, we need to know our history, and as this session is called, Black history is African history. We need to make sure that we're teaching more relevant and more meaningful modules and sessions on Africa, African history, but also contemporary Africa in our classrooms. So we have a lot of resources and materials on our website. We do teacher training workshops, train teachers to be able to develop curriculum and actually help them develop curriculum that's more meaningful to expose our students, our children to African history and to contemporary African politics, et cetera. The other area that we focus on through the center is African languages. Gina, you will be so impressed to hear that Howard actually has the largest student enrollment in African languages of any university in the country. Whoop, whoop.
What? So what's the most popular language?
And our most popular language is Swahili. We have about 300, almost 400 students every year studying Swahili.
Okay, wait. Is there like a online out? We need to talk.
I know we need to figure out
how we can partner with you guys.
And then we teach Zulu, Amharic, Somali, Wolof, Arabic, and Yoruba.
All right, y'all. Listen, I think.
And we have a summer institute where we teach our classes online. So yeah, and we can do it. We got some modules for you there for people to come on now. I mean, you guys have learned where you've learned about your tribes. So now we're going to give you a little bit of the language knowledge. So we've grown that. The center has been instrumental in terms of growing African languages at Howard, because through this grant, we're able to provide fellowships to students to study African languages, and then we're able to also support the African language instructors. So our languages have grown exponentially over the past 8 years since we've had the center.
So I was wondering about that because over the past 2 years, I've just anecdotally seen, noticed, decided that I'm an expert, that there's been an explosion of interest in all things African. Obviously, we see it in the music, we see it in fashion, we see it in hairstyles, we see it in the culture. And I was wondering if that has bled over into academia as well. It sounds like because you are experiencing that growth, that must be the case.
It is very much so. I think, as I'm sure the audience can attest, the African American community has become has always been diverse, but is even more diverse now. We have a lot of students at Howard that are African American, but that we would consider heritage learners. So maybe their parents are originally from Nigeria, or maybe their grandparents are originally from Nigeria, and they're now wanting to make these connections, right? They are very much American, but they understand that they can have multiple identities. It's like, as I was saying before, right? I mean, this young generation, they have no problems, kind of saying, I'm American, I'm, 100% American, and I'm Nigerian, and I'm this, and I'm, they embrace multiple identities, which is actually really wonderful. And so they're making those connections as well. So our study abroad opportunities have grown exponentially now as well. We have study abroad to Kenya and Tanzania and Nigeria. We're going to be doing study abroad in South Africa.
Well, I shouldn't be surprised because it is Howard, and this is so refreshing. It's so refreshing to hear. And I just want to shout you out publicly. I said this off camera, but I know that you, with many of the other professors and faculty at Howard, give a lot. You give a lot more than professors and faculty at other institutions do. And you do it for the benefit of our kids. So I want to thank you publicly for that kind of commitment. You've been there for 12 years, right?
12 years.
That's a long time. Now, with the influence that you have on these young minds, and with all the experiences you have had here and on the continent, do you consider yourself an activist? Because I'm feeling some kind of, I feel that activist energy.
I know. No, I mean, I hear you. I don't know about activists, but Howard's motto is truth and service, right? And we're very much, I think that's a community thing that we give back to our community. So, I'm a political scientist, so I tend to be an activist along those lines anyway. And then certainly being at Howard, that's just kind of what we're about. And certainly the most rewarding aspect of what I do is engaging with the students. We have some of the most remarkable students who are so inspiring. It just encourages you to just want to continue to, do more and do more.
I love it. Well, speaking of activism, our next guest is definitely a vocal activist, and I'm looking forward to bringing him on. But while we're waiting for him to come on, in your experience, what are some of the most impactful ways that we can promote the study of Africa? Let's say in K through 12, because I know you got the secondary education on lock. But what about K through 12? Are there a few suggestions you would have?
It's hard, right? Because I think that all of this, I assume it's at state level that they have certain state, kind of requirements, standards with regards to world history, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But as one of your audience members said, right, African history is world history, and I think we need to bring that in much more. I think there's definitely opportunities to really deepen the curriculum that we have, because I have school age kids, and they come back and I mean, they tell me what they're learning about Africa. I'm like, that's just so
You gotta.
basic. Right. I'm just like, that's just so, and you can't really blame the teachers because I'm sure they don't even really know. They're just kind of learning what the book is. So there's a lot of work to be done there. But, we have so many resources now, online resources. We have on our website, just two, I'll just name two. We have two websites. One is called Discover Africa in the World. And then another is, and actually, I want to tell your audience about that. It's called Discover Africa in the World. And it's a map. And we're basically, you can click on the United States, for example. And it shows you all of these different places in the United States, which are, have connections to Africa. So for example, people might not know that there was a Timbuktu in California, actually. And there's an Angola in Florida, and so there's different communities that used to be enslaved communities and whatnot that still have those African names. So making those connections. But what's great about that your audience needs to know is that website actually can be updated by the audience. So I know we got a lot of people in the audience who probably know of many more sites than we even have up there. So go to the web page and help us populate that map. But that would be a real resource and tool to bring into the classroom, right? Because you can use that as a teaching tool to the students.
And so you said that's Discover Africa, and that's on the CFAS website?
Yes, it is.
On the site.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Oh, I see our other guest. So like I said, speaking of activism, our next guest is Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. I'm telling y'all, we got the heavy hitters for Black History Month. He is the son of legendary Black Panther Party Chairman Fred Hampton, and he has followed in his father's footsteps as a very vocal activist. So let's look, I need those fists. I need those power fists up to welcome Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. to our African Ancestry Experience. Hello.
Right on. Good to be here. Right on. Listen, we say heads up, eyes open, and fists clenched. Right on.
That's right. I was telling Dr. Krista that our audience is extremely supportive of the guests who come on. And so you're seeing all the emoji love in the comments. And on behalf of them, I want to thank you for joining us this evening. I understand that I just missed you in Ghana in December. I was rolling out just before you rolled in. So I'm sorry we didn't get a chance to meet, but it's wonderful to meet you now.
My pleasure, sister. My pleasure. I look forward to meeting you. And I don't think I've left Ghana yet. I think I'm still there.
I understand that very well. So we ask each of our guests a few identity questions. And so I'd like to know from you, where did you grow up?
Well, first of all, again, I'm honored and humbled to be here. Greetings to you as well as your guests. I grew up in Chicago, Illinois, south side of Chicago in particular. That's where I came up. Chicago, south side. Yes. Okay.
And so we all know. Everybody knows they think they know something about you because of your name. Your name says something to us immediately in terms of your identity. But how do you describe your identity? Who are you?
Well, on the premise with this, I've said a number of occasions, I feel fortunate to have fallen from the tree of two freedom fighters, that are Chairman Fred Hampton and also of Akua and Jerry, formerly known as Deborah Johnson. I'm president, international chairman of the Black Panther Party Cubs, which is I know people hear the word Cubs, they say, does that mean they're young? But the term we use is that we're the ideological Cubs of the Black Panther Party. We say it's a tough act to follow. We try our best to not walk in their footsteps, but as we say, they're Panther Paw steps. And I know I didn't grow up in a romanticizing revolution or even the contribution that my father and others have made. We've seen the repercussions that come with taking this position. But the reality is that we're faced with so many contradictions and situations that again, I'm honored and humbled to be able to carry on the struggle for self-determination.
I love it. Thank you for doing that work for us. So growing up in Chicago, can you remember at what point you felt a connection to Africa? Did you come into the world feeling connected to Africa?
I said upon my return, I look back. My mother still resides in the same home that majority of my life I grew up in, and things that I took for granted, like pictures of Africa, discussions that we had, it was always there. So I didn't come to Africa, from a dry run. It was intertwined with our everyday discussion. The pictures on the wall, the books in the house. Always, that connection, recognizing, from where I came from, where we come from. So I feel fortunate there, because I've come into contact with people who have been disadvantaged to not know the connection that we have with Africa. And it's just even the political teachings and which I subscribe to, terms. As Malcolm X says that just because a cat has kittens in the oven doesn't make them muffins, and we may not have been born in Africa, but Africa is born within us. So it wasn't a going out of our way to say, let's talk about African history. It's always ingrained with me.
Well, Dr. Krista was just talking about that before you came on, about what her kids are learning in school about Africa. Did you have that kind of dichotomy? Like, did you learn anything in school and then have to come home and be retaught? Or why? And I'm imagining you were in school probably telling them, look, that's not right.
I remember, I think I was a sophomore. I think a sophomore in high school, and the teacher, it was breaking ground about discussion in regards to AIDS, and I recall the magazine. I forget what the magazine cover was, and the teacher, and just arrogantly, with the chimpanzee, the monkey on the front cover of the magazine. And they would say, how Africa, AIDS came from Africa, and I remember disrupting class, and and I said everything, it's a second nature for y'all just to always, attack Africa. This is a sophomore, and then another situation I recall, like I think it was a junior, a different high school, saying, I imagine, because I had to do a lot of transferring too, and it was kind of like a unsaid, quote unquote, deal that the position I took. The teacher was like, okay, look, you're going to pass. Just stop coming here disrupting the class. And I remember just even in the discussion about the pyramids and the battle about how Egypt was discussed, detached from Africa. And some of my classmates even reminded me years later, say, I remember that time you pushed the position about, Egypt is in Africa. And so just like I say, it was just second nature, always a pride and respect and that connection. And we had to contend with not only the attacks, the attempt to obliterate, but also the maligning and the false concepts that not just from the usual suspects, not just from the school teachers, so on and so forth, but the propaganda, the TV shows, all of that, and just even in conversation, like Field Marshal George Jackson of the Black Panther Party has said that capitalism not only affects the economy, but it affects the psychic of the people. So even the terms and jokes that people would say about, about Africa, in regards to Africa, how it's viewed, our definitions of beauty, you name it. We, that's something that we cannot devalue, the detrimental impact it's had on children in particular.
I was thinking about that when you were talking about how you were defending Africa, or you were challenging your teachers on their perception. That's a lot of responsibility for a 15-year-old, for a 16-year-old. I mean, we get it from all angles, but yes. For some reason, I'm actually giggling because I had a feeling you were one of those ones in the classroom telling those teachers what was up. Now, you mentioned the Black Panther Party and the Black Panther Cubs, and you told us that they're walking in the paw steps of the Panthers. But can you just share with the audience some of the work that you're doing, that the Black Panther Cubs are doing?
Over 25 years ago, we had a major campaign that we launched, was the AAT bill, the African Anti-Terrorism bill. again, the AAT bill, the African Anti-Terrorism bill, in which this is done in response to there's a phenomenal discussion in regards to terrorism. And we relate to a position that Minister UAP Newton has said that fight for power. Power is the ability to define phenomenon and make it act in the desired manner. Again, power is the ability to define phenomenon and make it act in the desired manner. We seized the time when it became a phenomenal discussion about terrorism. And our position was, let's have this discussion, but from the perception, from the position of the OVs, not the OGs, but the original victims of terrorism. People who have been terrorized under such euphemisms as slavery, Jim Crow, redlining, police brutality, and to say, let's up the ante, you know what I'm saying? Because similar to the mantra of the Alcoholics Anonymous, they say the first step in addressing the problem is recognizing that we have a problem. And to use brutal terms for brutal realities as opposed to correctional centers, concentration camps, as opposed to police brutality, police terrorism. We, in particular, there's one of our major dates is December the 4th. That's we refer to that as International Revolutionary Day. That's a day in which two of our twin towers, quote unquote, fell. We're talking about 21-year-old Chairman Fred and 22-year-old Defense Captain Mark Clark. And we put it in the political context about that act of terrorism. We were terrorized that day to the point that many people were fearful to speak about who Chairman Fred was, who Defense Captain Mark Clark was, what the Black Panther Party was. So, and also to put in context the contradiction of political prisoners. Everything is correct political context. That's a major move of the Black Panther Party Cubs. We centralized in the city of Chicago, which is infamously referred to as Chirac. And so people have an issue with that term. Our position is that it should be correlated to the conditions, of places such as Iraq, Afghanistan, which is really, though it comes under such auspices as a war on drugs or war on guns or war on gangs, it's actually a war on our people. And other communities have the advantage/disadvantage of an acknowledged war. Again, so just that's a major component of the Black Panther Party, because the heightened contradictions, to put in context what's really going on here, and that being a war being waged on us, and putting in the correct context the question of the cases of Mumia Abu Jamal, Sunday Ade Cody, Rochelle St. Q. McGee, your brother, the sister down the street, in the correct context of political prisoners, to put in correct context, AIDS, Ebola, heroin, and in context of chemical biological warfare being waged upon our people. So again, we say we relate to the Black Panther Party so that everything is political.
Mm-hmm. I love it. Well, we got a political scientist on the show with us today, so I want to bring Dr. Krista Johnson back in.
Respect, Dr. Krista Johnson. Respect to you. Right on.
Thank you, and respect to you. Yeah. Priest, I mean, what you were saying is right on. COVID, I mean, the list goes on. We can add. Yes, absolutely.
Let's talk about the correlation. Is there any correlation? Because both of you spend time on the continent. I know, Chairman Fred, you're still in Ghana, spiritually and psychologically, mentally, and Dr. Krista, you always, you have Africa running through you for your entire lifetime. Are there any correlations that you see between what we're dealing with as the diaspora, let's say here in Chicago or any major city, and then what our cousins and brothers and sisters are dealing with in major cities like Johannesburg or Accra?
Absolutely. I think what's really fascinating about just the last, a few years or a decade or so it's the young people. The young people are making these very clear connections and understandings of the issues that we're confronting here in our society here, and how they relate to issues that they're confronting on the African continent. Just to give you some examples. So, we had Black Lives Matter movement, which emerged here. In South Africa, you have movements like Rhodes Must Fall, which these are not unconnected movements, right? These activists know each other, they understand each other, they kind of relate to each other. In Nigeria, you have the End SARS movement, which very much was, fueled and kind of certainly inspired by Black Lives Matter here, and a lot of the protests going on around George Floyd and just police brutality, particularly in the Black community. And it's really fascinating. So you kind of think that, it's Africa, like race doesn't matter, like everybody's black. So, you can't, how do they understand racism? Oh, but as I'm sure Chairman Fred can explain, right? Police brutality, all of these issues, racism manifests itself in all kinds of very interesting ways, right? So I mean, you see this in many African countries, right? I mean, it doesn't manifest itself necessarily as black versus white, right? But it manifests itself in the context of police brutality, the over militarization of communities and populations and underserved communities, minority groups, etc.
Yeah.
Right on. Just to add on. Again, that statement that Field Marshal George Jackson has said that capitalism not only affects the economy, but it affects the psyche of the people. And the deal is that the politic of, of America in particular, it doesn't stop at the borders. It's not confined to that. And just everything from the music, and in some cases, I'm hesitant to even use that term to say the music. In many cases, our people are subjected to what we refer to as propaganda bombs, and how the impact, the trickle down impact. Because sometimes in many cases, people have a reactionary assessment to whether we're talking about the crime in our community, how we view ourselves, the type of food, or our definition of beauty. And the deal is that you talking about reality is that America being the big kahuna of capitalism, the images it puts out, it impacts how the embargo, not only the embargoes of Cuba and other places, but it impacts the different discussions and dialogue, what type of music is being put out. And so the correlations are there are pros and cons all over. Like there's we're in the stage in the game now, where as opposed to some years back or some time back, where there was like, I guess, a quote unquote elite few who would be making that connection from Africa throughout the diaspora, so on and so forth. But you see a commonality, a connection of people, whether through social media or what have you, making that connection from Africa, and seeing certain similarities. And again, there are pros and cons to that also, because there are certain detrimental activities or positions that are being pushed forward out, to our people all over the world. But we have to flip the script and seize the time and find commonality with our people. And I'm real inspired right now because again, it was we seen during the era time of Malcolm, Marcus Garvey, so on and so forth. But since then, like we did go through some lows with a real big disconnect. But you're seeing now through different venues, people are really, that connection to Africa is happening.
I was going to say, we're seeing it. We're doing we're playing our part by helping people to reconnect genetically to the continent. So that's our way of helping build the bridge and
that's major.
Store those linkages.
That's
and
major.
I'm wondering what other things, let's bring it down to the people who are watching us right now, the people who are hyped up in the chat. What are one or two things that we can do to help restore these linkages in a positive way, or to offset some of the negative outcomes that exist?
You want to start, Doc?
Oh, goodness.
He's like, I'm gonna give this one to you.
I know. See, Chairman Fred, you shouldn't do that.
I'm a tag team with you, Doc. I'm a tag team with you.
Ladies first. He was just being polite.
I'm a tag team with you.
I hear you. I mean, let's see. I'm just trying to kind of keep it practical, right? I mean, for the audience. I mean, I think a lot does, start with the young people, and just, kind of making sure that they're exposed to, and there's ways to expose them. So they're exposed to, African culture, African language, African, communities, et cetera. As we said before, I mean, what's fascinating about Howard is, we have language requirements like every other institution does, but at Howard, they take African languages more than they take, Spanish and French and, all of the rest of that. So, I mean, really, I think promoting that among the young people, it'll take off. I think if we, kind of, plant those seeds early, it'll certainly take off.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Right on. Just to add on, this conversation cannot be devalued. The work that you're doing cannot be devalued. Just even the connection, you know what I'm saying, the university to the organizing that we, the Black Panther Party Cubs, do, that in itself. In addition, a necessity of the staging game we in, a common tactic of an oppressor in America in particular is to create chaos and then restore order. Create chaos, then restore order. We hear terms like gentrification, which really is a nice way of saying land grab, and our communities are so destabilized that, like, growing up as a child in Chicago, I'll be able to walk blindfolded and tell you which family stayed in which house, as opposed to now you don't know who's, the day to day who's where. Yeah. I think back, it was a tragic case in Chicago. The sister that got murdered, and her last name, the last name was Hampton. And I recall talking to some of the family members, and nonchalantly I was asking about, where's your family from, for the connection, like what part, and it was like no idea, like, as opposed to when me growing up, it was common. We go down, just go to know where we came, what part of the South in the States where we came from. So the fact that, we talking about making this connection to Africa, you know what I'm saying? This is, in many cases, is a revolutionary leap and tangible, because again, I was just showing photographs to, to different, brothers and sisters in the neighborhood, and they were like, man, that's Africa. It's been such a job done, and it's such a job done still. They can literally come out with, with the modern day Tarzan, the Tarzan movie. I can see it now, you know what I'm saying? And it was sell, you know what I'm saying? Because it's still so much damage. So it's strategic. Everything from the maps in school, how Africa was, intentionally, made to be smaller. You know what I'm saying? In some places smaller than smaller than Texas. Then you get to Africa. You see in contrast how large it is, and then and how we can. I was in Ghana. Just even the traffic. I was showing some live footage in Africa, and even the rhythm of traffic. People like, people's the billboards. See how people on billboards, that in itself. And people were getting upset. They called Chairman, go back live. It was inspiring. So when we talking about African ancestry, we talking about this showing this connect. It's inspiring. So this conversation and the moves that you're doing, it cannot be devalued.
Oh, thank you so much. I have a million more questions to ask, and I just want to make sure I shout you out, Dr. Krista, for your appointment as a Carnegie African Diaspora Fellow. And I think that's another example of a way to create these linkages, right? Because you collaborate with academic scholars in South Africa at the University of Joburg.
Johannesburg, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a wonderful opportunity. It needs to be expanded probably tenfold. At the moment it's being funded by the Carnegie Corporation, but it's been proposed that, the U.S., well, I don't know, the U.S. government, or, it should be a much bigger program. But basically, there's been all kinds of, wonderful linkages and ongoing collaboration. So as I said to you, I actually spent my summer in Johannesburg, at the University of Johannesburg. And then I started teaching a class that actually went into the fall, but I'm also teaching with them this spring semester as well. So these are ongoing partnerships and collaborations that will be sustained, throughout the year. So it's not even just a one-off thing. So really just a wonderful way to, to make those connections and to kind of give back and to kind of, build resources, but then also to learn from, because, certainly in my field, we learn as much, from our colleagues on the continent as they do from us.
So I'm gonna wrap this section up, because there's something else I want you guys to do with me. Hopefully you'll say yes. But we are about legacy. We just completed a 2-episode special with VH1 Love and Hip Hop. It was called Lineage to Legacy. I'm curious about each of you. What do you want your legacy to be? Let's start with you, Chairman Fred.
I guess if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, the statement that Chairman Fred Sr. always, dare to struggle, dare to win. I dare to struggle. I dare to struggle. Yeah, dare to struggle, dare to win.
Okay, I love it. And you, Dr. Krista?
Yeah, I love that. I do love that. I don't know. I'm an academic and an intellectual, and you write and you try and make some contribution to knowledge, and try and write something that's going to be meaningful, that people will remember, and that maybe will be read after you're gone. And that's all well and good, but I have 3 sons, and they will be yes, more so than anything, they will be my legacy, and I put a lot of time and energy into that.
Yeah, God bless you. 3 sons. Woo! One of our team members, our head of operations, Simone Jones, she has 3 sons, and they're small. Well, they're getting bigger every day, but three sons under the age of 14. So I know what you've been dealing with so far. I know your sons are probably a bit older than that. But listen, so every week we play a game called Fact or Whack. And so this is an opportunity for us to quiz our family in the audience about how much they know about a topic. And so I'm inviting you both to play. I hope you'll say yes. Will you say yes?
Yes.
Okay. So I want you to take turns reading the statement. Wendy's going to put up a statement. You'll read it, and then the audience will have to say in the comments whether they think it's fact or whack. So let's start with you, Dr. Krista.
Okay. So Reverend Jesse Jackson founded the Rainbow Coalition.
Fact or whack? Did Reverend Jesse Jackson found the Rainbow Coalition? Come on, family. Y'all got to make me proud in front of these Black history scholar activist icons here we got with us. Is that a fact or whack? Did Reverend Jesse Jackson found the Rainbow Coalition? So we got some facts.
Some facts.
Facts. A lot of facts here. Looks like the facts are winning. So, Wendy, is this fact or whack? Oh. I thought he founded the Rainbow Coalition. Dr. Krista, can you do us the honors?
And see, Chairman Fred knew this. Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. founded the Rainbow Coalition in the 1960s as a means to unify various oppressed groups in the city of Chicago. Reverend Jesse Jackson later founded Rainbow Push Coalition, referring to this alliance once made in the 1960s.
See, that's why we need the knowledge, because there's certain, small nuances that make a difference in our history. Okay, so all of you who said fact, you get another charge. Okay, Chairman Fred.
Oh, yeah. Kwame Nkrumah, first Prime Minister, President of Ghana, is a graduate of the HBCU Lincoln University. Fact or whack?
Now I know we have some HBCU grads in the house. Did Kwame Nkrumah, did he graduate from Lincoln? Is that a fact or whack? Do you know that? Do you guys, Dr. Krista or Chairman Fred, don't say it, but do you know the answer?
I believe I do.
Okay.
It's a specific I'm kind of concerned with myself about. I'm telling you.
Look at all these facts. We got all these facts in the chat. Okay. So let's see if that's fact or whack, Wendy.
Was it Lincoln?
Fact. Yep.
Right. Okay, right on. I was concerned.
Right on.
Yeah, right on.
I thought maybe he hadn't graduated, because like Nnamdi Azikiwe came to Howard, but he didn't get his degree. So.
Okay. What's next? So this one will be yours, Dr. Krista.
Oh, okay. Chicago is the childhood home of Chairman Fred Hampton Sr.
Fact or whack? Let's see what you got. Is Chicago the childhood home of Chairman Fred Hampton Sr.? Is that a fact or whack? We got a I don't know. How about that? Shout out to Jane Bronner with the I don't know.
Keeping it real.
Look, we got all these facts. People are okay. We got some whacks coming in. Mary Smith weighed in with a whack. Vicky weighed in with a whack. Okay, they're coming in. Oh, hey, our Cafe Cubano Keys, my favorite Facebook name. All right, we got a split audience, split decision. What say you, Dr. Krista?
And the answer is whack.
But I thought I heard you say you grew up in Chicago, so I just assumed that your father grew up in Chicago too. So what's the real deal here? Okay.
Right next door. And technically, everybody saying Chicago. Yep, Maywood. Yep, village right outside Chicago. It was highlighted. Yes, indeed. Maywood, Illinois, village right outside of Chicago. It was highlighted in Judas and the Black Messiah, where the Hampton House Museum and Say the Hampton House Foundation are located at. 804 South 17th Avenue, Maywood, Illinois. Yep.
I love it. I love it. And you were a cultural consultant for the film, right?
Yes. You listened closely. You heard Maywood in there a few times.
Yeah. We had, have you met Dr. Ray Wimbush? He was a consultant on the film as well.
Yeah.
Dr. Ray Wimbush from Morgan State.
Okay. So we didn't get to meet directly. Okay.
Yeah. He's a member of the African Ancestry family and has been on with us in the past. Okay, we have one more. Last factor whack. You guys still have a chance to win. Let's see what the question is. This is for you, Chairman Fred.
Factor whack. The first African American to be honored on a U.S. postage stamp was Harriet Tubman. Fact or whack?
Linda says, I spent many summers in Maywood, Illinois.
I don't.
I love it. You know, I'm going to be saying right on for the rest of
the day. Know.
I'm just letting you know right now. Okay, Maria says, I love it. I love the people who are like, I don't know. Okay, so we got facts and wax. Shout out to Nawari Burge, who is on filmmaker extraordinaire. Okay, wax. Looks like the wax are winning. So what's the answer? Is this fact or whack?
The first one?
It's whack.
Whack, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, what's it called?
Who was it?
Booker T. Washington.
Booker T.
Yep. Booker T. Washington. Booker T. Washington was the first African American on a 10-cent stamp in 1940. Harriet Tubman was 1978. Yeah, wow.
She did make it onto a stamp just 38 years later. Look, when I saw this, I was like, a 10-cent stamp. Wow.
Right.
That's Black history in and of itself. That's right. American history.
10 cents for real. For real.
Wow. Well, everybody, I want you, please don't forget to read our post on our blog for more facts proving that Black history is African history and African history is Black history. I want to thank our guests tonight, Dr. Krista Johnson, my new BFF. I'm going to be all up in your office at Howard, at the Center for African Studies, trying to learn some more. And Chairman Fred Jr., Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. Thank you so much for joining us. I know I'm going to see you at some point because we'll be doing a reveal of your ancestry. And I want to also, somebody asked in the chat, Dr. Krista, what your African ancestry results are. And I want to say in full disclosure that I don't think she's taken the test yet, but perhaps we can get somebody from your father's side. If you're interested, I'd like to offer you to join the African Ancestry family so we can talk about that online. But I want to thank you both for joining us. I'm just going to do a few closing housekeeping things, but if you could just stay in the green room for a second so I could shout you out before we go. But thank you again for joining us tonight.
Thank you both. Thank you both.
I love it. I'm telling you guys, let's get some more emojis. Can we be very clear about how much we love the people who are our guests? I don't think you understand these two guests we just had. Actually, I know you do. If you're watching us on the replay, put a fist in the comments so we know you were here. Thank you to all of you all for joining us tonight. Listen, it's our anniversary. That's the other reason why we love the month of February. You know, I can't sing, otherwise I hit y'all with that Tony, Tony, Tony. It's our anniversary. On Monday, February 21st, we're turning 19 years old. Do you hear me? We're going to be 19. That makes me feel like, whoo, Dr. Krista and I were talking about not showing our age, not telling our ages. That just makes me feel like I have a 19-year-old, you guys. 19 years as the pioneers of African pioneers of ancestry chasing for Black people around the world. So tune in for a special anniversary celebration with my co-founder, Dr. Rick Kittle. As you know, we don't get him on here often, so hopefully you guys will come on and chop it up with us for a little while on Monday. It's a different time. It's going to be at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, because we're going to be celebrating our anniversary, and then we'll come in and chop it up with you. Also, our legacy sale is still going on, so you have until Sunday to use the code LEGACY and save $30 off of any African ancestry test kit. We've been talking about lineage. We've been talking about legacy, and I want you all to remember that it only takes one test. If you take the maternal test and trace the ancestry of your maternal line, you'll be sharing that information with everyone who came before you on that branch of the tree and everyone who comes after you. We've been talking about educating our kids. How about educating your kids on who they are, who they come from? And you can make it a whole STEM lesson, have them do the swabbing, and they can learn about the science in the process. And you can do it comfortably, knowing that we are not going to sell, we are not going to share your genetic information. We don't do that. We never have done that. In fact, our lab destroys your DNA, so we can't sell it or share it. So we've got checks and balances in here to make sure that we handle your very important, very valuable, and some would agree, very sacred information with respect and integrity. That's how we do it here at AfricanAncestry.com. We'll be back next Wednesday for a new African ancestry experience. It's going to be a little bit later. Next week, we just got to shift things a little bit later at 8:30 p.m. with Domati Pongo. He was the host of VH1's Lineage to Legacy episodes over on Love and Hip Hop. And for those of you all who saw the special, you know Domati is Ghanaian. He has so much energy. He has so much excitement and love for the whole journey that the cast took. And so I'm looking forward to talking to him. We didn't get to meet during the taping. We were never in the same scenes or same environment. So I'm looking forward to chopping it up with him. So please make sure that you join us and set your reminders that it's going to be at 8:30 instead of 7 p.m. next week. Listen, thanks again to all of you all. You know, I have to give a special thanks to Wendy Cherry, who's our producer. She puts all this together. So all I have to do is just sit here and follow her directions. It allows me to have so much fun. It's good to see so many familiar faces in the chat. Wim Payandi, thanks for being here. Haven't seen you in a while. Everybody, Gwendolyn, I saw Monique Brewer in the chat. All of you, you know I love you, and I thank you for rocking with us every week. Listen, until we meet again, I want you to stay safe, stay smart. May you be happy, may you be healthy, and may you be whole. Have a very good night, everybody.